How do you resist hunger cravings? Prednisone hijacks your hunger signals. So what are you doing to fight back? I'm Dr. Megan, your prednisone pharmacist, and my message for everyone is that prednisone, while miserable, you can fight back. So today I'm going to give you tips on diet strategies, not diets, but strategies that can help you to not gain weight while on prednisone and maybe even lose weight. Like last episode where I reviewed actual diets that are popular on the market, I'm going to be showing you examples of books that I have read about these topics and give you the highlights of those books so that you know where to dive deeper, which books you could check out at the library like I did. And just for a personal note, I love listening to books. So there's a whole bunch of great apps. My library uses Overdrive. And so I got to listen to these while I did the dishes or the laundry or other menial tasks. So first, today, we're going to talk about the Nourished Kitchen. Here's the Nourished Kitchen. The Nourished Kitchen is a great strategy for changing your lifestyle to live more like your ancestors did. If there's one theme in all of the diet books that I reviewed last week, it's that we need to eat less food that was made in a plant and eat more plants and food that came directly from the soil or from the farm and not from the factory. So this book teaches you great traditional food lifestyle. So how to make your own broth, how to make food that, when I first got married, I didn't even know you could make yourself. I thought you had to buy it at the store. So this teaches you those skills that maybe your grandma didn't even remember that her parents knew. So I would suggest that one if you want to learn how to eat whole, delicious foods in a more traditional way. It has tips in there about how to not only prepare the food, but how to enjoy the food. And I think if there's one thing that prednisone is really making people struggle with, it is that it removes some of the pleasure, some of the satiety, the ability to feel full. And so doing what you can to improve the experience of your food, to really enjoy the food that you are eating so that at least your brain can think, I did eat. Yeah, I did. I ate with my family. So that brings me to French Women Don't Get Fat. I really like this book for a lot of reasons. First of all, it dispels some myths about what it means to eat rich food. That people in France, they eat their baguettes, they eat their fancy desserts, they eat their really calorically dense meals, like French onion soup has a lot of butter in it, things like that. But they don't get fat. And why is that? Well, it's because they have a culture around food. They all talk about food. They talk about enjoying it. They sit down and they take time to eat. And so if you can incorporate some of those strategies into your life, it will help you to not feel like you just have to shove another cupcake in your mouth really fast. That's what prednisone is telling you to do. So try that book if you need that kind of help. Next, and maybe my favorite, is VB6. So, vegan before 6 o'clock. This one, to me, gives the best balance between getting the nutrients we need, because prednisone is stealing it, all of those good nutrients like calcium and potassium, and getting those nutrients through food and still being able to enjoy your entire palette of food. So what happens is you eat vegan, which means no animal products of any kind. So no fish, no meat, no poultry, no eggs, no milk, none of those things before 6 o'clock. So that in the morning, when you have more willpower, you're getting the good food in. So that by the time 6 o'clock rolls around and your willpower is waning for the day, that you've still got great nutrition under your belt. You've still filled that void of nutrients that you need to fill up. And then you can feel good about enjoying dinner because you worked hard in the morning. And you don't need to feel guilty when you eat the meat product or things that may not be quite as good for you as the vegan food in the morning. So for me, I've really enjoyed this because it's really made me think about my food. I haven't really felt restricted. It's made me feel like get a little more creative about how can I make my lunch vegan, but I can still eat whatever I want at dinner time. And so I think that strategy is the best balance for me. It might not be the best balance for you, but for me, it's liberating to be able to just focus when I've got the willpower and then enjoy dinner. Okay, here's the Vegan Before 6 cookbook. So they've got lots of delicious, beautiful things on there. And now we will move on to skinny habits. Skinny habits. So this guy right here, he was a Biggest Loser coach. So Biggest Loser, if you're not familiar with that, is a TV show where they'd get really heavy people and whoever lost the most weight wins. And so he would help them succeed in that goal. And he compiled a list of skinny rules. That's another book he has. And this one's skinny habits. And what I really like this is it brings reasonable strategies into setting you up for success. So basically, making it so that your environment, whether that's your physical environment in your house or your social environment with the people you're interacting with, helping you succeed in not overeating or eating the wrong foods when you're in those situations. He also has great strategies using tips from a book called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, where he talks about how a habit is made of a cue and then what's it called? Behavior and reward. So an example is, oh, it's bedtime. I'm going to get ready for bed. My behavior is I brush my teeth. My reward is my teeth feel clean and minty. And so what you can do is interrupt that cycle. You're going to have cues and you're going to have a behavior. So what are you going to change? Well, you can change the cue. Like, for example, if every time you walk in the kitchen, you think, I need a piece of chocolate, you can not keep the chocolate in the kitchen. You can, and then another option is you can change the behavior. So you want to have it be something similar that has a reward. And I really love that book. So if you need to change a habit, check out The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Then some of the strategies in here don't really make sense for people on prednisone, like dress for thin, the waistline signaling strategy. I don't really think that that's helpful when you're taking prednisone because you're gaining weight and it's really hard to control. And it's not just fat, but it's also water weight. And so the combination of that means sometimes you're really bloated and sometimes you're not. And dressing for thin is just, you can ignore that chapter. So next is a similar strategy, but it's more just about food. And this one is called Food Rules by Michael Pollan. I really like the work of Michael Pollan. He's a writer, and has researched a lot about food, and this book is just really simple and literally has pretty pictures in it. Like this is a funny one about the grocery store. This book you could read in less than an hour. And if you did everything in here, you would eat healthy and be happy, because he shows you great tips about enjoying your food too. Like one of his tips is eat only foods that will eventually rot. So basically, if it won't rot, that means that there's preservatives in there. There's lots of ingredients that aren't good for us. And so it needs to die. And the best way for it to die is for you to eat it. But those are great tips. One of the last rule is one I agree with. And it says, break the rules once in a while. So whatever I say to you today, you're human, you can enjoy life. And if you're taking prednisone, you need to enjoy life. We just need to have strategies to deal with that. So another strategy that, let me say more about the food rules. So it's formatted in his thesis is 7 words, only 7 words. And that's really all you need to remember. And it's eat food, mostly plants, not too much. So by food, he means real food, not edible food-like products, as he calls them, like cereal boxes, the food in cereal boxes, or the food in a packet, or microwavable this or that. He wants you to eat food. And then mostly plants is a good strategy because plants are good for us. And then not too much is probably the place where we struggle the most when we're taking prednisone. So that brings me to the next one. And I don't actually have this book. It wasn't available at my library. And it's called Bright Line Eating. And it's by a PhD, Suzanne something. Anyway, she says that for some personalities, this would work. So if you're a person who, once there's a rule in place, you do it, like Gretchen Rubin says, if you're an upholder, then this is the one for you, where you make a bright line. Like you draw a line in the sand that says, I will not do that ever again because I need to have a healthy body. And so one of those bright lines for her is no sugar. And so for me, when I was taking prednisone, I had that same rule. I said no sugar. And it was so much easier than saying, oh, I won't have too much, or just a little bit, or, I can stop, because I couldn't stop. When on prednisone, it was too hard. There were just, those hunger signals were missing to say, you're full, you can stop eating now. And so for me, while on prednisone, draw a line in the sand, no added sugar, no refined sugar. I'm not going there. And that worked for me. That helped me. If you're not an upholder and you're a rebel, like Gretchen Rubin says, don't do that. But that's what worked for me. And the next book is what I believe is the best strategy for people once they're off prednisone. I think if you've gained weight while on prednisone and you're trying to lose it and you've stopped taking prednisone, I think this is the best strategy for your life going forward. And it's called intuitive eating. Now, intuitive eating is not a diet. In fact, it is the opposite of a diet. Their belief is that diets actually cause weight gain because you lose 10 pounds and then you're hungry and you gain 20, and you go back and you try to lose 10 pounds and you gain 20 again. And so over time, you're messing with your body's signals and you don't even hear them anymore, whether you're hungry or full. And that's what's causing the weight gain. I think this strategy works great for anybody who's not on prednisone. And so if you are off prednisone, this is a fantastic strategy because it is a life. It is for the rest of your life. It is a lifestyle plan. And It helps you listen to your body, to like take that brief moment to pay attention. Am I hungry or not? And one of Michael Pollan's tips was, are you hungry enough to eat an apple? If not, you're not hungry. So I think while you're on prednisone, talk to yourself. Say, am I hungry enough to eat an apple? And if not, just don't eat it. So the intuitive eating, why I don't think it would be best for people on prednisone is because it relies on hunger signals and those being accurate. And they're not necessarily accurate in people who are taking prednisone. And so you need to use other strategies to rely on. And so using a combination of this and the VB6, and that has helped me. I am only 1 pound away from my pre-prednisone weight, and I'm so excited. It's taken a long time, but I am about there. For me, I want you to know that prednisone is wicked. It is miserable, but you can fight back. You can use these strategies in these books to build your life so that you can be successful. That even if you're stuck in bed, you can find ways to interrupt the habit cycle. You can set your behavior based on a healthier environment built for success. That you can do things to fight against prednisone. There is hope. And if you are needing more help, please get my prednisone wellness checklist. It's available at my website, which is prednisonepharmacist.com. And that wellness checklist gives you tips about how to deal with the top side effects of prednisone and when you need to have a conversation with your doctor. Because for all of the side effects that I tell you about, you can find help. There is hope, and we can deal with this. Please let me know if you have any questions and fill it out below if you have any questions. Signing off as your prednisone pharmacist, Dr. Megan.